Good morning and welcome to another episode of Money Matters with Realtor Randy. Myself, was that weird that I introduced myself in third person? Kind of. With Mendez Home Team at eXp Realty, and always accompanied by my partner, Sharon Thompson at Alameda Mortgage. Hello, Sharon.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very good. I'm good.
Happy Friday. I cannot believe that it is already the 19th of February. I said to somebody I was goal setting the other day, and I was like, well, the first quarter, and they're like, I just want you to know the first quarter is ending soon. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is. Isn't that crazy?
I can't believe how fast it's gone by. I can't believe all the craziness that is still going on in the world. Being from Texas, I have just been it's insane what keeps going on all around the world, even in 2021.
Right. Well, and it's even like you see it on the news and you hear about the polar vortex, and my other company, Real Estate Mega Moms, we have a lot of moms in the Texas area, and so we're kind of getting more of like a backhands like look, like they're sharing screenshots in our closed coaching group and saying like, we're on an order to boil our water, but we don't have power to boil our water. So it's kind of ironic. So you're seeing all of this unfold, and simultaneously I have a client who has relocated a couple times and landed in the Texas area, and she was without power for 4 days. And as if that's not tough enough, especially with kids and everything else and freezing temperatures, their friend's apartment building down the street caught on fire. And so they think that it probably caught on fire because somebody was trying to light a fire to stay warm or something to that effect. But just talk about adding another layer of just sadness to it. The fire hydrants were frozen. So they couldn't get water on the fire to put the fire out. And so they literally just had to watch the entire complex burn to the ground.
Oh my God.
Isn't that just horrific?
That's awful. My one of my good friends from back in college, they're without power in Austin, and he actually flew a drone at night to show every single parking garage, every corporate office, abandoned building, everything's abandoned because people are at home, all lit up like Christmas trees. And it was really cool that he made that statement. And then the next day you see it, everything is shut down. They made comments about it. They made an executive order, like we have to conserve power. And then he did a drone the next night where even the Capitol was dark.
Wow.
So it's crazy. And the problem is that we have people with power, but my friends that don't have power can't get to the people with power because the streets are all iced over. So luckily it looks like the warm weather is coming today, and it should be back on track.
I will say this morning on our Real Estate Mega Moms platform, we did our Feature Friday and we interviewed an agent from Florida. And we had to chuckle because have we all seen the memes that are like everyone hates Florida right now because Florida is like the only state that wasn't, experiencing something from this polar vortex. So it was definitely a fun morning, but our thoughts and prayers are, of course, with everybody that are being impacted, and not to start on a heavy note, but we did a good job doing that. So now we'll kind of jump course here. Today, what we're talking about is why it's not such a great idea to be a for sale by owner. And I think that this is an important topic, and I think it's a really relevant topic because I think that this particular market that we're in, which is an unprecedented seller's market in most areas of the country, but especially here in the Northern Nevada area, I think that it's feeding into the thought for some people that it's all the more reason to be a for sale by owner. And that's just not the case. So I'm excited to chat with you about this today, Sharon.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good topic as well. Exactly what you said. It's a seller's market. And so the enticement to not use a real estate agent is huge. Like, oh, there's 10 offers. What do I need an agent for? The minute I list it, I'm going to get 10 offers. And so people are very enticed by keeping that money, the real estate commissions for themselves. However, we both know that isn't always the best choice. So I thought this was a really good topic to help guide people that maybe are considering that to make a decision. And I'm not saying it's always the right decision to do, use a real estate agent. Sometimes maybe you do want to do for sale by owner, but just to add some extra information out there for people who are thinking about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and I'm going to lead with where my gut goes, in any market, right? And not necessarily in a seller's market, but risk is where my first thought goes to, is that risk alone is in my opinion, reducing the risk alone is one of the factors to hire a professional. I've been doing this at a high level for over 17 years, and I continually learn things. I continually am growing and going through experiences and going, oh, I had no idea that this happened, or oh my goodness, I can't believe that this triggered litigation, or I can't believe that this, is occurring. And so the bottom line is, a lot of times you don't know that the litigation usually occurs after the transaction. So sometimes FSBOs will even say, well, I did it. It was no big deal. And they don't realize that the problem's yet to come, right? So I think that first and foremost, risk alone. I mean, if you're not doing this at a high level, you're not, the amount of cases, and, if you're not having to do continued education and read, study case studies and do different things, you don't even know what to look for. So you're completely operating in a blind spot, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and I think another thing that's really important for sell by owners to know is that while you don't carry a license and you do have the ability to sell your home, there are regulations. There's a lot of regulatory requirements when you choose to act in that capacity. And so then you just start talking about standard documents, standard disclosures, all different layers that have to be done. And I will tell you, you're also still subject to fair housing. And that is a ever-changing world that, even I myself, year over year, am adapting practices and standard operating procedures to adjust to make sure that I'm walking within those guidelines. So that would just be my first point. I mean, at the end of the day, I truly believe that you should hire a professional for your largest asset. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer.
I agree. And just hearing you give the small list of disclosures just now, small list, by the way, that's not even everything that we have to comply with, is really huge. And people just don't even know that.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then, I think the next thing is going to be exposure. So, let's just kind of speak about this market. So in this market, it is absolutely without a doubt. And I'm going to say this as somebody who's, in day to day with agents across the country, the majority of the country is in an unprecedented seller's market. And I think the thought is that that's it. I definitely don't need an agent now. And boy, recently did I go through this and really realize how even in a seller's market, you as a FSBO will really cut yourself short. And it's really going to boil down to exposure. So at the end of the day, I know that you can get yourself on Zillow, but that's not the same as getting yourself into a multiple listing system and getting yourself in front of agents who are in relationship with active buyers. So, I mean, something that's important to understand is that we as agents, when we're representing buyers, are in the mud with them. We are in the relationship with them. We are talking about the reality of, we know you want 10 out of 10 things on your list, but the truth is you're only going to get 6, maybe 4, right? And so we're the ones that are saying, hey, I know this house might not have popped up on your radar, but this one could be the right one now. So when you don't put your home in that pool for us as professionals to have access to, now we're not, the truth is we're not getting it in front of our thousands of buyers. So the exposure is going to drop. Furthermore, and I'm just going to step out on a limb and say this shouldn't be the case, but the truth is that there are many, many agents that sidestep for sell by owners. So you will have possibly low inventory on your side and get more showings, but 9 times out of 10, a professional is not going to go show the for sale by owner over 3 or 4 professionally listed properties, right? Mm-hmm. And so we had a deal that we closed, and I have to tell you, Sharon, I was so taken aback. So it was a for sale by owner, and one of my teammates showed it. And so we actually got it in contract before I saw it. And when I went there, I literally was like, oh my gosh, the first thing I was so impressed by this house. It was adorable. And it was a beautiful home. It had so much to offer. And I literally came back and was like, I could have got him $30K more. Like that was my initial thought, because first off, I'm going to jump to another bullet point, poor photography. So poor marketing. It was not done at a high level. So they probably minimized their exposure right there tremendously. But then their pricing. And again, I think that it was, so again, another bullet point is pricing. So I think that they had a combination of poor exposure, poor marketing, and then they priced it and because they didn't have a professional who maximized the exposure and maximized the marketing, they couldn't push the envelope on the pricing, right?
Exactly. So what you're saying is you would have paid for yourself.
Yeah, yes, I would have. Well, and here's the bottom line. The right agent combination, okay, I actually even wrote this down. So the right agent combination is okay, let me try it for the third time here. So the right agent with a combination will give you the combination of more money, less time, or let's just start over. It is officially Friday. Let me just tell you what I tell my clients. I will sell your house. I will get you more money in less time with less hassle, right?
Yep.
And that is the truth. That's what I get for trying to come up with a new line. But here's the bottom line too. The numbers show. So this is something that has been followed and studied, and 10 to 20% more is what owners net. That's what they walk away with on average. So of course, I'm not saying that there's not the one-offs and there's not that experienced FISBO who gets through it and maximize it. And I'll tell you, heck, I've helped particular clients over my career that there just wasn't enough money in the transaction for the professional, that I've helped them to walk and navigate this process on their own. But the truth is that statistically speaking, you as a homeowner will net and walk away with 10 to 20% more in your pocket by leaning into a professional, and you've reduced your risk and you get to walk away with that peace of mind. So what is that really worth?
I agree. And back to kind of your first point, not only do you walk away with more money, but that peace of mind of if anything happens, any litigation, anything goes wrong, that is covered by the real estate agent and all the real estate agent insurance. People don't realize that. I remember I wrecked my car and I tried to pay for it out of pocket, or I hit somebody, excuse me, and I tried to pay for it out of pocket. And I said, it's a little ding, I'll pay for it. And I get their bill and I'm like, $2,000 for a little ding. So I
Okay.
called my insurance company and I'm like, okay, I just need you guys to handle this. This is more than what I thought. They said, you should always have us handle it because we are covered. When that car goes into the shop, we're now responsible for it. If you
Right.
pay for it, you're responsible for it. So if they get in there and there's bigger damage, if something falls on it and the shop breaks the car, we handle all of it. You have all the peace of mind of the car's dropped off and you take care of it. So it's the same thing with the house. Sellers have all the peace of mind that if anything happens, the real estate agent's going to handle it due to our licensing, our insurance, and then our broker's insurance on top of that. So we are going to handle everything that comes up for them.
Well, and I think that's a great point too. I don't know, as the general consumer, if people realize that, we do carry errors and omissions insurance, because at the end of the day, we are human, but so we have a higher level of skill and knowledge that is already going to minimize that risk. But then, when we do fall short, like you said, we do have that layer of errors and omissions. And so I think that one is just kind of, one of the ones that for me, I'm willing to pay, even if I didn't net more, I would be willing to pay to do it right. It's like with my taxes, each year, if somebody can give me a guarantee that they're doing the taxes right, I'm happy paying that extra money to have that peace of mind guarantee. So I
Right.
think that's a big one. I think another one is emotional decisions. And I think that it's really important to know that when you're selling your own home, it's really hard to remove yourself from the emotional decision. And sometimes that can cost you in the bottom line. And also kind of tying into the emotional, but is that we live in our homes. We become familiar with our homes. We become familiar with their flaws and their quirks. And so the truth is that sometimes something that we don't even think twice as, because we've just come to live with it, is something that we oversee disclosing. And so that is another, again, still on the risk side, but that's another big one, is that we got to realize that we're not looking at our home with objective eyes. And so we're not seeing the things that we need to see and the things that we should be disclosing. And so that is important as well. But I will tell you, we had another one, and this was not a FISBO. And this one just kind of made me think about FISBOs. And so we had another home listed recently, and we put it on the market, and inevitably, within a few days, we got multiple offers. And when these offers came in, they came in, one came in cash but contingent. Another one came in financed but looked very strong. And so here's the thing. I, as a professional, brought these in, presented these to my seller. And then as my seller and I were talking, we were just going through them, because we go through them line by line and we talk about them. And so I showed him, hey, this person is making an offer on your home and they're going to put 3% down. Well, again, being knowledgeable, we're having the higher level conversation. So I'm saying, I just want you to know that if we don't appraise, which I don't think we'll have an appraisal problem at all, but if we don't, with this person putting 3% down, there's probably going to be limited availability of funds to offset an appraisal issue, right? Because 3% means that they're probably using everything that they have just to get into the house. And so that is, potentially a blind spot that a FSBO wouldn't even know to think about. But the reason I share this is because that led to me as the professional saying, you know what, can I have a day and can I vet these guys a little bit harder? And let's do this. And so I went back and I basically said to the cash but contingent offer, hey, is there any possible way you can do a bridge loan? And could you do XYZ? And so we basically said, based off of your offer, we would like to see if you could, hop through a couple more hoops. And then we went back to the other finance loan. And we basically said, listen, what we would like you to do is get approved with our preferred lender. Of course, you use whoever you want, whoever you feel comfortable with, but it's important to us because it looks like, this is a higher purchase price and, you have limited funds. We just need to make sure that the buyer has been well vetted. And so when you talk to our preferred lender. So I want you to know that had we not decided to basically scrub our buyers, right, at that higher level and really just kind of put them through another layer of steps to decide who was the better offer, those would have looked great and potentially we would have taken one. Well, ironically, when we went through it, the offer that was the one that my client was leaning away from ended up becoming substantially stronger, and the other one bowed out, literally just bowed out. And that is one of those examples that I just don't know that for sell by owner, maybe they have the experience, but do you even have the time? Because time commitment is something else we didn't even talk about. 9 times out of 10 for sell by owners are working full-time jobs. I mean, is it really realistic that they're even accommodating the showings? And then do you have the time and the knowledge to put that deeper, higher level thought process into scrubbing and vetting the buyers, right?
Right. When you talk about it, I mean, we could literally spend hours on examples of how we look at offers and what we look at. And the other thing that we could, briefly talk about is the difference between the products, which clients don't know. They look at, okay, this is the highest offer, but we had another client that we had 3 offers on. And one of the offers was VA, and we were leaning really strongly towards the VA. But what probably most for sale by owners don't know is that VA, the seller has to pay part of the closing costs.
Right.
So that means that's less pocket money out of the seller's pocket. So if they accepted that offer, they might not know that they have to pay escrow. There's a pest inspection that comes with VA. There's also huge guidelines when it comes to peeling paint and, little things like that, where if a client has, maybe this is an investment property that they're selling and we may have pests, we may have some things going wrong. They're not going to want to pick the VA or the FHA because it's a harder appraisal. So yeah, we could talk about, like I said, we could talk about this for days, the difference between offers that we look at. And if you don't have a professional reviewing those with you, you might take that other offer, but it doesn't mean that that's going to, once again, put more money in your pocket. It could put less money in your pocket, even if it looks like the better offer.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, just kind of on those same lines, I've seen for sell by owners almost cost themselves deals because they don't understand timeline. So just like you're talking about, they don't understand products. I've seen for sell by owners and I had one recently that the only reason that the client stayed in was the limited inventory. But the sellers were literally making it such a dance around and such a long drawn out process just in the negotiations. And they were doing it completely backwards and they were not conscious of time frames or, offer expiration dates or anything. And literally, the only thing that kept that particular transaction going was the lack of inventory. And so otherwise, that particular transaction would have fell by the wayside as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. So, well, you know what? We do have a comment real quick. Let me pull that up. So Daniel has said, you are right. The homeowner could lose more money in the long run because of the knowledge they don't have. You ladies are on it. So thank you so much, Daniel. We appreciate that. And basically, we're going to just wrap it up and to recap, risk alone is going to be a reason why you don't want to be a for sale by owner. Time and schedule availability. So showing the home, scheduling the home. Also for sale by owners, if you're going to do it, here's a tip. Don't personally show the home. It's very awkward. It's very hard to imagine yourself living in a home when somebody's walking you through their home and their bedroom. So don't do it personally. So we want to also make sure that you know how to qualify buyers, I mean, it goes on and on, but the agents at the end of the day bring broader exposure, stronger marketing, they bring less risk, and they bring more net in your pocket. So we're always going to suggest that you lean into a professional. And if you don't happen to have one, you're welcome to reach out to myself. But anything else you want to add, Sharon?
It wasn't on our list, I don't believe, but you kind of barely touched on it just a little bit. Last thing I'll add is just the safety of it.
Oh, yeah.
When you're listing your home and you're the one that's showing it, you're the one that's letting people in. And as professionals, as real estate agents, I know that we work together sometimes in that facet, but you definitely work very with your team, and safety is the most important thing when showing homes and keeping everybody on the team safe. And so somebody that is for sale by owner might not know all the things that we do when showing homes, when allowing people in. There's a key people have to use to get into the homes. And so let's just talk about, if nothing else, it's also just a huge safety issue, a personal safety issue, not just a financial safety issue.
I think that is huge. And I love, love, love that you brought that up, because you're right. We have, timestamp records of how they're getting in, when they're accessing the home. We're also using some discretion on the amount of information we provide or don't provide, because, really ultimately, and ultimately we also have professionals bringing people into your home, not just people coming into your home. And so I think that that's important. And we're also still amidst a COVID market. So I also want to remind you that there are additional new COVID disclosures and things that have to happen for COVID. And there's also requirements on, how that is happening. So I know that for us, our standard operating procedures have changed immensely. 9 times out of 10, we are, you can't even, I will tell you, there's regulations regarding COVID. So for instance, even with us, a seller cannot be in the home when we show the home. A seller cannot be in the home when we, if we do an open house. Only an X amount of people can be in the house during an open house. So I know that this is, again, weird times, because it feels like this is my house. If I want to open it and let 5 people walk through, I should be able to. But again, we want to protect you from that as well. So that was really, really good, Sharon. Thank you guys so much for always tuning in. As always, if you don't already have a trusted realtor, I would love to be that resource. And you can reach me at 775-379-8344. And on the lending side, Sharon, what's your number?
949-201-8940.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Money Matters. I think we're off next week because you're traveling. Is that right?
That's right. It's my birthday next Friday.
Yay! 21? You're turning 21?
Oh,
able to dream?
dream.
Oh, love it. Well, Sharon's going to celebrate her birthday, so we won't see you next Friday for Money Matters, but we'll be here Friday after next. And as always, we love, 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 and appreciate the comments that we get, the feedback that we get, and the questions we get. So please, if there's a question or anything that you'd like to know more about, let us know, and we will definitely bring that as a future topic. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you a week after next. Bye.
Bye.